Thank you. Can we have the first slide? Next one, thanks. So I think we're all aware of the topic of the year, maybe the topic of the decade, and that is the demographic cliff, not just in the US, but of course around the world. The change in the demographic and the fact that our populations are aging and fertility rates are dropping will have enormous impact on economies, on our medical systems, and on our workforces. Next. So those of us in Pittsburgh have done some traveling around the world to see how other countries, particularly those who are ahead of us in the demographic shift, are dealing with this critical issue, looking for innovation and inspiration. Obviously, we picked some targets. Would make sense to anyone. Singapore, Japan, Italy, Finland saw some very exciting models. You're going to hear about some of them today. Next. So what do these countries understand that the US does not? I'd say the first thing is that longevity hubs and localized touch points are critical to extend the health span, and extending the health span is what it's all about. Keeping seniors as healthy as possible, as long as possible, living independently in the community. And in countries that will thrive, in spite of, and maybe because of, the demographic shift, they're going to be integrating everything. Healthcare, socialization, housing, urban design, transportation, medical discovery, through technology, but I want to emphasize at the local level. Next. We have to adapt in our country in terms of our thinking. One thing we did here in other countries, seniors are an opportunity, not just a liability. What's critical is that we keep seniors as healthy as possible, as long as possible. Seniors are also workforce assets, not only in terms of many jobs are going to be created to help us care for seniors in the community, but also because seniors themselves may be increasing their lifespan of their careers. And one thing we learned, and you'll hear from Singapore, housing is health. We could be so much more imaginative in our housing design and how we care for people in their home, close to home. Next. As we rethink aging, I think we came away with these lessons from traveling around to other countries. Think local, think neighborhood, think aging in place, but also think about a rural strategy. The bottom line is decentralizing care and responsibility, building nutrition, exercise, mental health, engagement into daily routines. The other thing that's going to be revisited, is being revisited around the world, and we will have to do that here too, is rethinking voluntarism. There's so much more that we could be doing. Next. So technology is the friendly enabler. Think technology everywhere. If the goal is to increase the health span of our seniors so they can live independently and have their care coordinated and navigate the many different areas of healthcare where they can be strengthened, we're going to have to think about technology. And I won't read the list, but I would say technology everywhere. And the opportunities are incredible, and you will hear from our panelists about that. Next. And let's skip this slide, and I'm going to go directly to our panel. So let me introduce the people we've assembled here. They will speak in this order. Dr. John Wong co-chairs a multi-sector initiative in a real-world township in Singapore to co-develop programs that increase longevity and permit intergenerational aging in place. I've been there, I've seen that. What he's been active in designing is the most impressive housing as health development that I've ever seen, deploying technology, urban planning, full service housing complexes, and centralized decision making. Wherever we go, to whatever country we go, they do say to us, we're so glad that you've been to Singapore. It's our gold standard. Dr. Wong serves as the Isabel Chan, professor in medical sciences at the National University of Singapore and senior advisor to the National University Health System. You will hear next from Dr. Seigo Zumo, who splits his time between Japan and Boston and is keenly aware of how Japan is extending the health span of its population. In Japan, corporations, universities, hospitals have collectively adopted the cybernetic society 5.0 vision, where people and technology coexist for mutual support. Seigo has one foot in the academic world and one foot in the corporate world, so he's perfect for this conference. He has held leadership positions in 3 major pharmaceutical companies, Takeda, Gilead, and Novartis, and was a professor at medicine at the Harvard Medical School and at the Harvard MIT Division of Health Sciences and Technology. In our country, the closest model we have to these localized touch points is the PACE program. And the PACE program nationally stands for Program for All-Inclusive Care for Elders. You're going to hear about that from Maria Zamora, who is president and CEO of the Center for Elders Independence in the Bay Area, one of our outstanding PACE programs. In Pennsylvania, PACE programs are called Community Life because we have a statewide program called PACE. So LIFE stands for Living Independently for Elders, and you will hear more about that from Maria. And back home is Dr. Aman Mahajan, who was here for a number of years. He's bringing his medical, business, and technology expertise to the intersections of healthcare and innovation. As I said, he's no stranger to Pittsburgh or Pitt. Aman was previously Senior VP for Health Innovation at UPMC. He's now gone over to the investment sector, helping to fund the technologies we need for the future. So I'm going to turn this over to the panelists, and they are going to go in the order in which they are seated. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, and I'd like to thank the Jewish Healthcare Foundation for inviting me to Pittsburgh to share this with you. Can I have the next slide, please? The next slide. So we should be celebrating. We should be celebrating because we've never had the lifespans that we currently enjoy. Next. But the reason why there's this apprehension about long-lived populations is because of the gap that we see between our health-adjusted life expectancy, or our health span, and our lifespan. And this is apparent in all countries around the world, and the gap is approximately about 10 years. So how can we narrow this gap? Next slide. Well, in December of last year, in Nature Aging, a group of faculty led by Cynthia Chen, but also with John Beard and Jack Rowe, proposed the Global Aging Society Index, where they look at 5 domains: well-being, productivity and engagement, security, which is physical, financial, and food, cohesion across different ethnic groups, across socioeconomic, as well as multi-generational, and finally, in terms of equity. And they ranked 143 countries, and they basically outlined areas which countries can look at to be prepared for this demographic change. Next slide. There are 2 publications which have guided a lot of our thinking. The WHO Decade of Healthy Aging, which came out at the beginning of this decade, and the United States National Academy of Medicine Global Roadmap for Healthy Longevity, which I was privileged to co-chair with Linda Fried, and which the previous speaker, Dr. Mahmood Khan, was a commissioner. Next slide. Next slide. So perhaps I can share Singapore's strategies to do this, because we are currently one of the fastest aging countries in the world. So Singapore starts off with a social compact, a publicly declared social compact where there are 6 areas where we're trying to strive for equity: education, employment, healthcare, housing, retirement, and care for the precariat. Next slide. 10 years ago, Singapore announced its Action Plan for Successful Aging, This covers 12 domains, ranging from employment to housing to healthcare to retirement adequacy, transportation, and research, and you can read the list. Shortly after COVID in 2023, there was a refresh looking at 7 areas which they wanted to focus on, as well as increased funding for research in how to increase the health span. Next slide. More recently, the Singapore government announced Healthier SG, where it's looking at how to strengthen primary care. And part of Healthier SG looks at an integrated health ecosystem across public health, healthcare delivery, and long-term care. And as this focuses on IT enablement, the whole of Singapore is going to move to one instance of Epic across its entire public healthcare system. Recently, they announced Age Well SG with increased funding for areas such as the physical living environment, active aging, and strengthening support for seniors in the community. Now, how are we taking all these great national policies and looking at last mile implementation at the ground level? Next slide. So I'd like to introduce you to the health district at Queenstown, which Karen came to visit 2 years ago. And essentially what we've done is we've taken one part of Singapore to serve as a microcosm of Singapore. It's very small, it's 8 square miles, but it has 100,000 people living there. And the 100,000 people are reflective of Singapore's demographics, gender, socioeconomic profile, and ethnic composition. Next. So this serves as a whole of society, real-world, location-based platform where we want to develop not only programs which are validated, but critically, they must be scalable and sustainable. And we want to do this through co-creation with residents and with all stakeholders. Next. There are 4 goals. We want to increase healthy longevity. We want to enable purposeful longevity. We want to promote intergenerational cohesion, and we want to allow aging in place. Next. So this is a joint effort led by the National University of Singapore, the National University Health System, and the Housing and Development Board, with 3 members of the current cabinet working with us. And the Housing and Development Board is unique. This is the public housing agency, and it houses 80% of Singapore's resident population, of which 90%, that's 90, own their own homes. So it's really quite a remarkable agency. And we have members across multiple government agencies and the social sector. Next. So we're looking at 6 work streams, 6 themes: preventive health and care delivery, purposeful longevity, planning and design of the built environment, technology, communications and engagement, and very importantly, evaluation. Next. And we want to do this through co-design with residents and stakeholders. It must be data-driven and outcome-focused, and we want to harness the best of behavioral and implementation science. Some details in preventive health and care delivery. Next. So we have started off by embedding a blended care team in public housing. So this is one of our oldest. This apartment block is 50 years old. High-density housing. We're looking at a 400-meter radius where there are 15 blocks, 3,300 residents over the age of 40. And really trying to say, can we do the following? Next. So we want to firstly build a trusted relationship with the residents. We want to deliver integrated health and social care because the core team is a care coordinator, a nurse practitioner, and a social worker. We want to encourage everyone to follow the ministry's screening and vaccination guidelines. We want to prevent, delay, and reverse pre-frailty. And we're starting off with metabolic health, trying to get diabetes, hypertension, and hyperlipidemia under optimal control. Next. For people over the age of 60, we want to focus on exercise, both aerobic and strength, adequate protein nutrition, again, adherence to screening and vaccinations, and we want to address depression and loneliness. Next. For purposeful longevity, we're opening community engagement hubs. So these are hubs which we want to draw people out of their homes, and the programs are essentially designed by the residents themselves. What we want to do is provide oxygen and support to these programs. Next. We're working very closely with the Ministry of Manpower to try and see how can we keep people in the workforce. Because there's no point raising retirement age if people are leaving the workforce in their 50s. So a key component of this is reskilling and retraining people, especially in their 50s, with a big emphasis on helping people to be comfortable digitally. And we're also working on areas of lifelong learning and reskilling. Next. In areas of planning and design of the built environment, this is where the Housing and Development Board is looking at embedding 4 key components in the health district at Queenstown. One is embedding sports science, so we can really encourage everyone to exercise, enhancing dementia friendliness using symbols. But we want to keep people in their homes as long as possible. Developing wellness landscapes. The motto is that Singapore wants to be a city within a garden, and very importantly, social and wellness hubs. Next slide. We're building community care apartments. These are apartments for older couples who want to downsize as their children have left homes. And these apartments are essentially following all the concepts of universal design, as well as having the availability of 24 emergency monitoring and response, as well as basic health checks. And for additional cost, they can opt for additional services. Next. And so this is one of the latest developments, which will be ready by 2027, 2028. So what we do in Queenstown is a musical chair development where we build new blocks and bring down old blocks after they're about 50 to 70 years old. And this has about maybe 4,000 residences. Some unique features is whereby we notice from feedback from older people that they find it difficult. They are worried about going out because of having to cross roads. So we're building a canopy walk across the apartment buildings. So there's a 400-meter walkway above the apartment buildings so that people can exercise safely. Next slide. Technology. How are we approaching technology? We're asking technology to do one of 4 things. Can it help keep people independent? Can it nudge people to be healthy? Can it identify high-risk people? And can we enable care delivery into their homes? Next. So these are just some of the examples that we're harnessing technology. We're working with companies where they can measure blood pressure by just turning on your smartphone. We're miniaturizing ophthalmic equipment so we can screen for glaucoma, cataract, and age-related macular degeneration as close to home without having to go to a doctor's office for an appointment. We're enabling fall detection systems with sufficient sensitivity and specificity, so this can be rolled out in all apartments. And we're working very closely to develop ambient intelligence with colleagues at Stanford. Next. Next slide, please. And very importantly, finally, how are we evaluating all of this? Next. So again, we're looking at the 5 domains of the Aging Society Index: well-being, productivity and engagement, security, cohesion and equity. Next. And currently we're tracking 43 indicators. We're trying to take these indices down to an individual level. We have just voted on 10 of the 43, which we want to try and develop into a real-time dashboard. Next. So again, I think that as we approach this demographic challenge, we really want to see this as an opportunity to create the 3rd demographic dividend. We are currently all living through the 2nd demographic dividend, where we're using the resources and assets of our youth bulge and the capital it has generated. Now we want to see whether we can enable both robust younger generations as well as robust older generations, because that synergy will be something the world has never seen before. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to this conference. What I'd like to do today is to introduce age tech innovations currently taking place in Japan. This is really a glimpse of it, not all of it, but given the time constraint, I will pick some of the representative example. Next slide, please. So Japan has longest average life expectancy among the G7 nations. In fact, it's been that way in the entire world. But if you look at in the 1960s and 70s, it wasn't so. Japan actually lagged behind. But 1970s and 80s, Japan took the lead in terms of life expectancy. Next slide, please. There's an interesting surge in number of centenarians in Japan over the last 3 decades. And if you look at the curve, it's almost exponential. And interestingly, during the COVID, when the COVID started, the number of centenarians is actually increased further. This actually gives an interesting sort of thought. Next slide, please. So Japan's population pyramid, left side in 1960, the small one, at that time it did look like a pyramid. More younger people, a fewer number of old people. But right now, 2024 in Japan, it's no longer a pyramid. In fact, this year, 29.5% of the Japanese population above age 65, Medicare, so-called Medicare population. And by 2030, 1 in 3 will become older than 65. And also you can see that number of children are progressively declining. Next slide. And if you look at the fertility rate, it's now close to 1, the progressively decline, despite the many government initiatives. So Japan is facing the challenge of increasing elderly people and the decreasing number of the people who can care for. And the immigration has not been, the major source of labor in Japan. So how is Japan dealing with that? Of course, Japan has, the hospital that are specialized in elderly, chronically elderly care. And Japan has, nursing homes. But what about the people who are living at home? A large number of them are living. Some of them are healthy, but some of them actually have 1 or 2, 3 disabilities. Next slide. So Japan actually has elderly daycare service center very extensively. There are about 50,000 of them, as many as convenience stores in Japan. And many of them actually small scale, less than 20 people they take care of. And these people don't live here. They live home, and like kids go to daycare center or kindergarten, they go in the morning and they have various activities. In the left side, in the bottom, they are playing a mahjong and the trump card. In the middle, in the bottom, they are doing some rehab exercise and some recreational activity in the right. And the top, they are writing and reading. So the large number, maybe 5-6 million people are going to this day service every day. But this is not for everyone. My mother, for instance, loves to go to day service because she can talk to many people. But my father, actually, she doesn't like to go. She would rather sit at home and read a Nikkei newspaper and watch public broadcasting and also go take a walk with the assistance of physical therapists around the park. In fact, Japan has a very extensive home care delivery system. So my father had advanced Parkinson's disease. So he needed to be bathed. They come 3 times a week, to bathe him and give him enema because he had a very severe constipation and, meal service. And so he had actually very sort of, the satisfying life in the environment he wanted to be. So the Japan actually provided sort of an option, and certainly, day service is more efficient. The personal care at home is very labor intensive, so not for everyone, and it costs more money. But the day service is sort of they pay about 700 yen per day, which is like not $5-6, essentially lunch money. So this is funded by the elderly care tax that the people above age 40 have to pay. So, and administered by the local city. So they actually tailor the program, depends on the population and the local need. So, so that's where it is now, but where Japan is heading. Even this system cannot be maintained because of the increasing the budgetary deficit, as well as the declining population, particularly young population. Next slide. The video, please.
An aging population in Japan causes a severe shortage of care workers. Researchers hope AREC can ease the problem. It is an AI-driven humanoid robot designed to carry out tasks for elderly people who need critical care, such as changing diapers or preventing bed sores. AREC is being developed by researchers at Japan's Waseda University. The project is funded by a government program designed to foster disruption.
So this, the very ambitious project, but it is not easy to create. Robot is very good at, like assembly line, that something is fixed. But a human moves. Everyone is different. So it is not easy. And the professor thinks that it takes another 10 to 15 years before it comes to fruition. But one that has actually become commercial use is a pet robot. First one is Sony's Aibo, that means a partner. And recent one is AI-powered, so recognize you. Some of them sing a song and talk to you, answer questions. And some of them actually more focused on the tactile communications. People with dementia that they enjoy, more. So they have sensors. So if you touch the animal, they move like, real cat moves. And some of them make a voice. And those are commercially sold, and in fact, that exported. I heard that it's very popular in Hong Kong. So, and also what learned here can be used to apply for the care robot in the future. Next slide. I want to introduce some of the other, age tech that is actually on many of them are commercial stage. Next slide. First is the Cyberdyne. This is established by Professor Sankai at the Tsukuba University, visionary professor. 19 years ago, he had this vision. And now he has actually approved exoskeleton cyborg product that is approved in Japan and the US and the EU and Malaysia. So it's a global product and can support lumbar support, helps the caregivers and warehouse workers, and the medical use, lower version helps for people with muscular dystrophy or other neurodegenerative disease, and upper arm version helps greatly people with a stroke. The way it works is the machine detects neuromuscular activities that the host is initiating, and then cyborg kicks in to complete the task. So this is very innovative, and I gather Professor Sankai is visiting Pittsburgh in December. Next slide, please. This is the mind-body-machine interaction created by LifeScape, which was started by Professor at the Keio University. So if you have a big stroke, you have a complete hemiplegia. So Cyberdyne works that you have a little bit of a motion initiation that triggers the cyborg. But here, there's your arm doesn't move at all. But this helmet, this device actually detects your will. I want to move my left arm. So the brain thinks, and that brain wave is detected, and the computer interprets it, and moves the robotic left arm. So this is, again, it's the actual use. About 100 hospitals in Japan has adopted it, and apparently 70% of them, 70% of the patient, it has been helpful. So the Neuralink is a U.S. company, but they put the electrode in the brain. This one doesn't put the electrode in the brain, so it's much more patient-friendly. Next slide, please. Another one I thought it's a neat device is the wearable urination predictor. This is small thing you can attach in front of your bladder, and they're not visible. You put it underwear. And by ultrasound, it monitors how full your bladder is. So depends on the people. Some people actually start to have a leaking, even 50%. Some people don't leak even at 90%. Particularly women, because of anatomy, they are more prone for leaking. But this one will give you, basically monitoring how full is your bladder. And in the nursing home situation, the caregivers, they don't have to keep bringing patient to the bathroom when the bladder is not full. So they can monitor by cell phone or remote monitor how full the patient's bladder is. So this is, again, the very popular device in Japan. Next slide, please. So one of the important aspects of having healthy lifespan is the prevention of accident. In fact, more than 30% of the cause of the major disability in the elderly is a falling and resulting in hip fracture or head trauma. So this new material, when a patient walks out, the wheelchair goes, it stays rigid. It's a rigid floor. But when patient falls, the middle layer collapses. And they provide the equivalent protection as wearing a helmet. And so it's been shown to reduce the hip fracture as well as the head injury. And more than 1,000 hospitals and the nursing home actually uses this material. And in fact, that if you combine this sensor, you can tell when and where this fall is happening remotely. Next slide, please. The Toyota is, obviously, a car company, but even they are interested in, elderly care. So they have created a model, they call it the test circuit, but the model city that can house 3,000 people. And all the cars there are fully autonomously drive. All the delivery is done, again, fully autonomously. And people also can take autonomously driven tricycles. So this is in progress, and the Toyota is testing various devices in this model city. Next slide, please. Not only the machine, but integrating advance in the biotechnology is extremely important. Because the aging, after all, your body is aging, and you can improve your digital environment or AI, but your body have to renew itself where it can. So there are some examples of the effort taking place in Japan. The iPS cell, senolytic vaccines, and also Health Innovation Hub with the hospital and the biotech incubators. Next slide, please. So this is the scheme of iPS cell. Dr. Yamanaka received the Nobel Prize in 2012 by basically showing that if you take a skin cell or blood cell, you can convert it to stem cell, which can be differentiated into any cells, brain, heart, muscle, any cell, even egg and sperm. So this have various medical usage for the Parkinson's disease, heart failure, diabetes, etc. Next slide, please. But currently, if you receive this cell, you have to be on the full immunosuppression because the cells are somebody else's cell and they're made in pharmaceutical company. So your immune system will reject them. To overcome that, well, if you use your own cell, you don't have that rejection. You don't have to take immunosuppression. So Mr. Yanai, who is founder of Uniqlo, the richest person in Japan with a $48 billion net worth, he spent the money, well, he started the My iPS cell therapy, actually factory with Professor Yamanaka, with the goal to reduce the cost of making iPS cell by 98% and drastically shorten the time so that everyone, or not everyone, but those who want to have your own iPS stem cell stock, you can have it. So this is already started. Next slide, please. Another example is eliminating some of the harmful old cells. Professor Minamino at the Juntendo University found that a senescent vascular endothelial cell expresses specific markers. So he made a vaccine and he showed in the mouse aging model that if you inject this vaccine, this old endothelial cell die and the mouse lives longer. We don't know whether this works for human or safe, but this is something we should keep an eye on. And the next slide, please. So where do you get the innovations? One of the interesting models that we have in Japan is a combination of a general hospital and biotech incubators. So Shonan Kamakura Hospital is a flagship hospital. It's a very high-tech. It has a cyclotron, 680 bed. It's a part of a 70 hospital chain, largest hospital chain that also owns 300 nursing homes and other ancillary facilities. So they have all kinds of patient information, and physically adjacent to it, we have a Shonan iPark, formerly Takeda's R&D headquarters, with 3 million square feet of space. And when we started 6 years ago, we have only 4 companies, but now 190 companies, over 2,500 people working with a connection to multiple universities, as well as the global connection, including China's largest biotech, Korean biotech, and then even NVIDIA in the US. So what we are trying to do is try to achieve a society 5.0, where digital space, physical space merge with the AI-driven solution, with adoption of a new material and the other smart city concept. So in conclusion, next slide. Japan is already the most aged society and has a challenge. And to solve these issues, we have to adapt robot, AI-assisted machines, and biotechnologies, new sensors, material, etc. And importantly, we have to integrate. And also population of 120 million in Japan, we have to make it scalable and affordable. That's our challenge, but we continue to work on this and hope to contribute other society that will face similar problem in the near future. Thank you.
Almost afternoon. I promised to get us back on track with the times as much as possible. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Karen, for inviting me, and the CMU, as well as the University of Pittsburgh leadership. Normally, I would speak on this topic from a scientific and technical perspective, but today I'm speaking as a healthcare investor in the tech and services space and an entrepreneur and innovator. So as you've all heard, just go back on the slide, that it's important, aging matters, and more important than aging, it's the years that we spend in good health or the health span. And that's partly because when we're not healthy, the elderly are actually extremely vulnerable and face all these healthcare barriers. All of these lead to neglected healthcare, poor outcomes, and increased costs in healthcare. Next slide. And there's an even more important case, economic case to be made of investing and improving our health span over here. And Dr. Khan alluded to that earlier in his talk. And there are many different scenarios we can present. And one is, as I share over here with you, is that just treating dementia in US can actually lead to a gain of about $384 billion. And a recent study in aging, Nature Aging, actually showed that if you just target health span and increase by 1 year, that actually has an economic impact of about $38 trillion for the US alone itself. Next slide. Now, fortunately, there's an increase in investment that's occurring in this broad space of longevity or increasing health span. And while it still needs to be a lot more than what it is today, leaving aside the last couple of years, we're seeing an increase in investment that's occurring in healthcare and health technologies in this particular space. Next slide. So the good news is that almost every aspect of healthcare, from prevention to risk modification to screening, early diagnosis, and different therapies and monitoring of exacerbations, including new interventions and disease modifications, as well as improving navigation for the elderly. There's an investment being made, and there are actually real-life solutions that are currently in use. And the question is really how to scale them, adopt them into various clinical settings, and that's where the challenge lies. Next. When you look at it from a clinical perspective, there are almost every AI solutions and platforms exist in clinical use for almost every major clinical condition, chronic conditions over here, be that cardiometabolic, neuroaging, renal vascular, oncoaging, oral gut, mental and social health. They all exist today and are being in clinical use. Next. And most of these platforms, I look at those, and they're in these, generally in these 4 categories, 4 platform solution sets. These can be software or AI applications, diagnostic tools and screening modalities like blood and omics and imaging platforms, at-home testing, various medtech and robotic devices, some you saw earlier, and then certainly the field of therapeutics and interventions are exploding, and you'll see a lot more in the coming years. Next. One of the things, and as has been well recognized now, is that if you want to impact health span and if you want to impact healthy aging, you want to make those interventions earlier on. Earlier is cheaper and it's better. So there's a greater focus now on prevention and risk modification as opposed to even screening and early detection or even diagnosis and staging. Not that those are not important, but the earlier we actually intervene and in improving our health span, the better it is. Next. Next. So this is again a recent study and is an example showing that when we intervene in Alzheimer's disease, this is a platform recently built, published in Nature, where the intervention was to create a self-administered digital testing done at home, along with blood testing. And that was actually shown in this randomized controlled trial that this approach was better than even a primary care physician diagnosing an elderly with Alzheimer's. Next. And even more recently, as of last week, the Roche got a test approved for p-tau181, which actually rules out to a 98%, almost nearly a 98% negative predictive value that you may not have an Alzheimer's disease. And this is important for those individuals who have an ApoE gene and would want to know that what can they do earlier on to prevent or modify this disease if they was to occur in later years in life. Next. The other technology that we are seeing rapidly gain some footing is retinal screening. And we're seeing newer models, foundation models arrive in oculomics. And what retinal screening has been able to do is to provide easy access, easy access to the multi-organ disease dysfunction and ability to actually train, because of the training being done with these large data sets, being able to accurately diagnose and screen pretty much all major organ disease, which include blood pressures, cardiovascular disease, renal dysfunction, Parkinson's. Many of these actually have achieved FDA clearance for clinical use, and there's a reimbursement code as well. All of these things are important because they enhance the adoption of these in clinical practice, and others are on the way. Next. This is another interesting platform. It's a direct-to-consumer platform that's been built by Ezra and Function. Ezra has been able to provide a unique patient-facing portal for scheduling their own imaging scans. And as many of those who have actually gone through the process of for getting an MRI imaging scan, it might take 2 or 3 months across most institutions in the US. With this, it's not just that you can access the scan very easily, but the imaging test itself accuracy is improved, and the scan period is actually reduced by about 50% or so, greatly enhancing the output of these scans. More importantly, it allows you to actually get over 500 early diagnosis of risk for cancers in most organ systems, as well as risk of stroke or cardiac disease in these patients. So we're seeing this platform is there in across 48 states, and even though it's a direct-to-consumer, it's getting rapidly adopted to the tune of about 500,000 patients that are on this platform. Next. Along with the imaging, it's actually providing more than 140 biomarkers, which the AI algorithms are being built and providing insights to the patients to give them their true biologic age, and also providing insights on what they can do to improve their biologic age through this trending of their biomarkers. Next. This field is rapidly evolving in terms of how the models are building, and now more and more accurate models. Large language models are being built for specific disease conditions. This was as of last week again, published in Nature, which disease you might have in about 20 years from now. And next. Just like the large language models are able to predict what word should come next, these health models are actually taking on information from your demographics, your social environment, your different events that have occurred during your life to actually predict which of these 1,200, more than 1,000 chronic conditions you might develop 20 years from now. Next. So AI has actually enabled a lot of our care to become more anticipatory, which used to be reactive. And there are many clinical conditions that are actually being solved through several of these platforms over here. Next. As an example again, in the serious mental health illness space, AI is in conjunction with in-person clinic visits, is creating this platform that allows easy access to therapy for patients who actually need it, elderly, at-risk patients, and through various remote patient monitors, able to track continuously variables and patient information 24/7 to provide insights to the patient how they can actually improve their mental health. Next. The approach with this across many different states where it's partnered with both the health plans as well as with the provider groups is shown a tremendous improvement in outcomes for these patients who are prone to be readmitted and have long lengths of stays. With this particular approach, the length of stays and all the other outcomes are tremendously improved as opposed to the traditional approaches. Next. Similar example to this is in cancer space, Daymark Health, which is another tech-enabled healthcare platform which partners with the health plans and meets patients where they're at, in between the cancer care, which is where the care gaps exist. Daymark Health, with its unique tech platform, along with cancer specialists, will actually make sure that care is available to patients 24/7. And essentially, it's living with those patients virtually and anticipating what their care needs are and intervening much earlier as opposed to patients seeking out or frequently falling through the gaps in this care. And this approach across state lines, and they're partnered with, for instance, in the state of Rhode Island with the Blue Cross, it's actually reduced the cost of care per patient by about $23,000 while improving patient outcomes. Next. And then finally, as we've all heard earlier on, that care for seniors, seniors have a very tough time navigating care. And navigation is a word we probably should not use because it should be just our care, but we are using this care because our systems are siloed and segmented, and care coordination is really a holy grail for many of our vulnerable patients. And AI has been able to create through conversational guidance or platforms which are being designed with accessibility first in its design, provide care coordination as well as medication support, as well as understanding of what their benefits are and referral management for these patients. Next. And as an example in this space, this is one of the leading platforms. It's there in 48 health systems, Hyro. It's building responsible AI agents for healthcare. And these agents, again, 24/7, think about reaching out to a physician or a clinician or an administrator anytime you need them, and be able to provide accurate information of when your appointment is, or if your appointment needs to be changed, which referring doctors you can actually see, and being able to communicate information between referring doctors, and the platform is able to link to every disparate IT and information system that exists in any health system over here. So these are some of the innovations that currently exist, which I wanted to share with you, and there are many more which are AI is enabling us to be able to take advantage of in improving health of our seniors over here. And with that, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Karen and the Jewish Healthcare Foundation for having me here today. Next slide, please. I'm with the Center for Elders Independence, which is a nonprofit organization that has been serving seniors in the East Bay of California for over 40 years now, primarily through the PACE model, or Programs of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. We also have another Medicaid waiver program, Home and Community-Based Alternatives, that serves about another 700 people through intensive case management and care coordination. And we have a small foundation. Next page, next slide. This just gives you a sense of a geographic area that my organization serves today. Next slide. We believe that culture and community are foundations to holistic care. And we have seen the increased recognition addressing underlying factors related to social determinants of health and how that leads to improved health outcomes. PACE organizations have been doing this for nearly 50 years now. Next slide, and next slide. So what is PACE? There are 186 PACE organizations nationwide, 300 plus PACE centers in 33 states and the District of Columbia. In California alone, there are 35 organizations with over 100 centers in 27 counties, serving approximately 25,000 participants. That is a mere fraction of the individuals who require this type of care and service in our country today, and as you notice, we're not even in every state today. I do believe that technology would be a great enabler to the expansion of access to PACE services across our country. Next slide. So PACE is a national program. It offers comprehensive, truly integrated health and social care, combining a medical clinic, social center, senior rehab gym, in-home services, transportation, and much more. And this is all provided by a team of professionals who are trained specifically in care for older adults. This model is based in, next slide please. This model is predicated on a minimum of an 11-member interdisciplinary team, or IDT. And this is such an essential component of coordinated care. The disciplines assess each new participant and develop a tailored, individualized care plan for that person. The participant is asked about their goals of care and what matters most to them. This care plan is developed and then evaluated at least twice a year. And we determine services for our participants, including the center days and home care services. Next slide. When we say all-inclusive care, we truly mean all-inclusive care. This is a very holistic model of care for older adults. All of these services that you see on the slide in front of you can be provided if our interdisciplinary team determines it is needed for that participant. So everything from the acute hospital care to in-home care to pharmacy is all part of our model. Next slide. There are things that are very unique about the PACE model. It is a capitated full risk model that is covered by Medicare and Medicaid here in America. And capitated means we receive a fixed amount per member per month to provide all of the care and services that is needed by the individual. Our participants truly benefit through this intensive care coordination where they don't have to worry about arranging for their doctors, their specialists visits outside of our center. We take care of all of that for them, including the transportation to and from those visits and to and from our center. Our whole intention is to allow older adults to live independently in their homes and communities versus being placed in institutional care. Next slide. The real heart of this model are the PACE centers. On this slide, you see just a little glimpse of the 3 newest PACE centers that were built by my organization, CEI, just this year, opened in May of this year. And the best way really to explain to you what the PACE model does is to take you on a tour of my centers. So I can't transport you all there, but I'm going to do that virtually today. If you could start that slide. Can you start the video? Nope, last slide. The video.
I apologize, there is no video.
Okay, so I will give you a verbal description of the video that was embedded that I was going to play for you. You see the front of the center. Our transportation is the key and the starting point of the visit. They bring the participants to our centers. Inside is a lovely, airy, bright open space that is our social day center, where our participants can enjoy healthy meals, engage in activities and recreational therapy, but most importantly, socialize with each other and be in community. As we know, many older adults become increasingly isolated, and isolation is just as impactful to health as many chronic diseases. So this social day center is really a critical piece of the PACE model. In the same building, we also have a primary care clinic where we deliver medical care. We have a senior rehab gym where our physical and occupational therapists and the rehabilitation aides can help our participants return to a baseline after they may have had a fall or a hospitalization. But we also can have ongoing exercise programs, which are just as critical. We have registered dietitians that manage all of the meals in the center, as well as provide nutritional counseling. This is all managed by master's level social workers as our care managers. And then we also, at our organization, we have an integrated behavioral health model, and we have behavioral health rooms in these centers where our participants can engage one-to-one with a therapist or have small group therapies as well. We have a beautiful outdoor patio space, and then we have other unique programming spaces like arts and activities rooms. We have some very talented artists among our participants. And then we have a quiet room, a library, where participants can either read books or newspapers or utilize computers in that room. And then we do have a room that's called our we have a memory care room where we can have a quieter environment for our participants that may suffer from cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, or other related dementias, and need a little bit less stimulation than what may be happening in the big, exciting day room space. So that's, I hope I've painted a picture for you with my words. Next slide. The language we use in the PACE model really does matter. We notice we use the term participant. Most healthcare workers are used to using the term patient. The people we serve are precious and deserve to be regarded with the utmost respect and dignity, and they too are part of that team that I mentioned, so they participate in their care. Some of our participants are even the parents or grandparents of our team members or prior employees. Next slide. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So there are eligibility requirements for this program in the U.S. You must be 55 years or older, live in a defined PACE or an approved PACE service area. You have to be able to live safely in the community with our support and services. And you must be certified by the individual state to meet nursing home level of care. So these really are individuals who are high care need, high multiple diagnoses, and need a really intensive care. However, we really would like to keep them in their homes and communities versus being placed in institutional care. Next slide. Gives you a little picture of our PACE participants. These are the most common chronic conditions of PACE participants. Next slide. And although 100% of our participants are eligible for nursing home placement, nearly 98% of our participants reside in their own homes and communities. Next slide. I would be remiss if I didn't give you a glimpse of a PACE participant and tell you a little bit about her story. Sophia marked her 75th birthday in 2023 at one of our PACE locations. Back in 2005, Sophia was living alone in Berkeley when she slipped in the restroom and lost consciousness. It was a 3-hour wait before a neighbor found her and rushed her to the hospital to receive treatment. Her spine was injured in the accident, leaving her without the ability to walk. Having no living immediate family to support her, she decided to enroll in PACE. She is now one of our longest attending participants. Sophia is grateful for every member of the team who contributed to her road to recovery and enhanced her quality of life. Sophia shared, every week I would come to the Berkeley Center and see my physical therapist, Esther, for exercises. I really had to learn how to walk again. I would eat my meals at the center. I would have my medical checkups all in the same place. The PACE vans picked me up and brought me home. She was very determined to recover, and she embraced physical therapy and rehabilitation, taking one step at a time, quite literally. The progress is slow and challenging, but Sophia never gave up. Today, still, she walks with the support of a cane and lives by herself independently to this day. So when you think of longevity and how the bright healthcare construct can help our seniors, think of Sophia. Next slide. I'll very briefly touch on how we're thinking about technology in the future at CEI. We see AI as a journey. It starts with trusted data that gives us clarity, then grows into insights that help our teams make better decisions. Eventually, AI becomes our partner by helping staff anticipate participant needs and make care more personal and compassionate. Next slide. Projects that are in the roadmap in our real environment today, reliable mobility, which we use analytics to measure on-time performance and improve daily reliability of our transportation system. And this is a quick win that matters to participants and our center teams. The digital workplace, our ServiceNow modernization is complete, creating a single workflow platform for all internal service requests and IT support. Participant journey, we're mapping every touch point from enrollment to daily care to understand friction points and improve experience. And a federated data hub. We're building in secure, secure distributed data foundation that links care, operations, HR, and finance, the data information bridge in our roadmap. Together, these steps will move us from data to knowledge and preparation. These are not theoretical pilots, they are everyday improvements. We're starting where it matters most by making transformation more consistent, internal processes smoother, and participant experiences easier to navigate. We're laying the foundation that will allow augmented intelligence to thrive. Next slide. Our next chapter is all about building organizational knowledge and wisdom. AI that learns, protects, and empowers. It will help us anticipate needs, coordinate seamlessly, and give our staff more time for care. We'll grow responsibly, ensuring privacy and fairness, while sharing what we learn across the broader PACE community. Thank you.
That is the close of our session. I do want to thank our guests who've all come a long way to share their experiences, but also to give us a vision of what's possible. And now we have to, wherever our communities are, I'm thinking of Pittsburgh, which is my community, now we have to bring this to life at home. Thank you all so much for participating.